everyone, and today we are going to do The Snake and the Mirror from Class 9 book Beehive. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what thoughts do you get? Do you appreciate your beauty? Or do you pick up the flaws in your appearance? Of course, that would depend on person to person. But let me tell you that it is not just the humans who like to admire themselves or who like to look at themselves in the mirror, but it is also the same about animals. Do you have a pet dog or a cat, and have you noticed how they react when they look at the reflection in the mirror? Do that. The story that we're going to read today, The Snake and the Mirror, is actually a story of a doctor. This doctor was unmarried, bachelor, handsome. He appreciated his own appearance and beauty. But the moment there's an entry of a snake, the thoughts of this doctor change 360 degrees. And then, instead of the doctor, the snake gets attracted to its reflection in the mirror. It's a frightening but a humorous story. Let's read this interesting story written by Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, written originally in Malayalam and translated by V. Abdullah. So in today's session, we'll read and understand this chapter, followed by a summary, and then significance of the title, moral, and the question answers. And as usual, before we begin with the session, let's know something about its author. Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, also known as Beypur Sultan, was born on 21st January 1908 near Vaikom in Kottayam district, Travancore, India. He was a writer, humanist, freedom fighter, novelist, and short story writer. His notable works are Balya Kala Sakhi, Shabdangal, Pathu Muyode Adu, Mathilukal, Janmadinam, Anargha Nimisham, and more. The translations of his work in other languages have earned him worldwide acclaim. He was awarded with Padma Shri in 1982, Sahitya Akademi Fellowship in 1970, Kerala Sahitya Akademi Fellowship in 1970, Kerala State Film Award for Best Story in 1989, and many more. He died on 5th July 1994 in Beypur, Calicut district in Kerala, India, at the age of 86. The Snake and the Mirror. Do you like to look at yourself in the mirror? What do you think about at such times? Have you ever seen a dog, a cat, or a bird look into a mirror? And what do you think it sees? Now read this humorous story about a doctor, a snake, and a mirror. Has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? Coiled means curled. A full-blooded cobra. Full-blooded means genuine. All of us fell silent. The question came from the homeopath. Homeopath is a practitioner of homeopathy. He is a doctor. And homeopathy is a medical system which is based on the belief that body can cure itself. Those who practice it use tiny amounts of natural substances like plants and minerals, and they believe that these natural substances will stimulate the healing process. It was developed in the late 1700s in Germany. The topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued with his tale. Tale here means story. It was a hot summer night, about 10 o'clock. I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was a familiar one. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. The narrator of this story is a homeopath doctor, And one day he sat with his friends to discuss about snakes. And at that time he asked a question which made everybody silent. He asked everyone that has a snake ever curled up itself around any part of their body? A snake meaning a cobra. After this, the narrator started to tell his story. One summer night, it was 10 o'clock, he had returned after a meal from a restaurant back to his room. When he came back, he was aware of certain noises. Those noises were made by rats because there were a lot of rats in the kind of room that he was staying. When he came inside the room, he lighted the kerosene lamp which was kept on the table. The house was not electrified. Electrified means there was no electricity. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. Meager means small in quantity. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase, along with some shirts and dhotis. I also possessed one solitary black coat which I was then wearing. Solitary means single. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so white vest and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supportive gables that rested on the beam over the wall. Gable is an upper part of a wall below a sloping roof. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. The idiom taken time off or to take time off means to have a break. Since the narrator lighted a kerosene lamp, we can know that the house did not have any electricity. It was a small rented room. Because the narrator, that is the doctor, had just started with his practice, so his earnings were not very large. He used to get very small amount as his earnings. There were just 60 rupees in his suitcase. He had some shirts, dhotis, and the only black coat which he was wearing presently. So he took off his black coat, his white shirt, and not so white vest. Not so white vest means an old vest. The room where he was staying had a tiled roof and it was supported with gables. Gables is the upper part of the wall below a sloping roof. So he tried to sleep, but he could not. There was regular traffic of rats. There were so many rats that they kept making noise. Then he went to veranda to get some air, but then even outside the wind wasn't blowing. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book, the Materia Medica. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and a large mirror. A small comb lay beside the mirror. One feels tempted to look into a mirror when it is near one. I took a look. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty and I believed in making myself look handsome. I was unmarried and I was a doctor. I felt I had to make my presence felt. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. Again, I heard that sound from above. The narrator wasn't feeling sleepy, so he sat on his chair near the table where the lamp was kept. He took out a book. The book was named the Materia Medica. Probably it is the book which he read that was regarding his medical study. On the same table, there was a big mirror, and he always felt tempted to look into the mirror. Whenever he looked at himself in the mirror, he found himself very attractive. Because he was unmarried, he was doctor. He thought that he looked handsome. He was also an admirer of beauty, and every time he liked to keep himself presentable, looking nice and handsome. There was a small comb near the mirror, so he picked up that comb and he adjusted his hair so that they looked straight and neat. And when he did that, again he heard a sound from above. Probably it was the sound of rats again. I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. I was, after all, a bachelor and a doctor. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth shaking decision. Earth shaking means very important. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. I was, after all, a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it. Again came that noise from above. The narrator looked at his image in the mirror and he made two major decisions that day. He looked at his face closely and then he decided that he will grow a thin mustache so that he'll look more handsome. And second decision he made was that he'll keep smiling. He'll always smile because he believed that he had an attractive smile. So a thin mustache and a smile will make him look more handsome. After all, he was a bachelor and on top of it, he was a doctor. Now again, he heard the same noise from above. Were they rats or was it something else? I got up, paced up and down the room. Paced up and down means walked from one point to another. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would marry. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. Resumed means came back. There were no more sounds from above. Suddenly, there came a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. Even so, I thought I would turn around to take a look. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneous. Simultaneous means together in the same moment. When narrator was engrossed in those thoughts about his own look, he walked a few steps in his room and then there was another thought which struck him. He decided that he would marry a woman doctor who would earn a plenty of money and should have good medical practice, but she should also be fat. And she should be fat because if the narrator made any mistake and he had to run away, then this fat woman should not be able to catch him. So those were the thoughts which were running in his mind, and as he was thinking about all this, he again sat on his chair. And just when he sat, there was some noise at his back, as if some rubber tube had been dropped on the floor. The narrator did not care to look back because he felt lazy. But just when he turned around, he saw that a snake had come on the back of a chair and he was now sitting on the shoulder. The snake sitting on the shoulder and the narrator turning towards him, both of these things happened at the same time. I didn't jump, I didn't tremble. Tremble means shake. I didn't cry out. Cry out means shout. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. Slithered means slipped or slid. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone, but my mind was very active. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. The narrator did get scared when he saw the snake on his shoulder, but he was quiet, he was calm. He did not jump, he did not shake, or he did not shout. Because there was no time to do all this. The snake had already slid over his shoulder and it had coiled around or turned itself around the left arm above the elbow. It had spread its hood and its head was like hardly 3 or 4 inches away from his face. So the snake was that close to the narrator. So if the narrator had done any kind of movement, the snake would have bit him. Therefore, he sat there holding his breath as if he had turned to stone. But the narrator's mind was very active. There was darkness all around outside his room, but he was sitting there in the light of that lamp, kerosene lamp, like a stone image which had flesh. That is, in human body, he was sitting there like a statue. I felt then the great presence of the creator of this world and this universe. God was there. Suppose I said something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod. Leaden means made of lead. No, a rod made of molten fire was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? Just at that time, the narrator was remembering God. He felt the presence of God around him, and he also felt that if he tried to say something, and if the snake doesn't like it, then what? So he tried to imagine saying, "Oh God," and he imagined that these words were written in bright letters outside his heart. There was pain in his left arm because the snake had coiled around his left arm. So he felt as if it was in some kind of a fire. It felt as if his arm was draining of all the energy and strength, and this snake was powerfully crushing his arm. But what could the narrator do? He was completely helpless because if he moved, the snake would bite him. And if he didn't, then he would have to stay like that for some time. At my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. Lurked means waited. Suppose it struck. What was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicines in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. Feebly means slightly. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into the mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? Vermilion is a bright red color. So here a vermilion spot means putting on a bindi. The narrator knew that if he moved, the snake would bite him and he'll die. And suppose if the snake bites him, what will he do? He did not have any medicines in his room. He was poor, he was foolish, and also a stupid doctor. That's what he thought about himself. He completely forgot about his danger for a moment, and then he smiled faintly at himself. He smiled at his own helpless situation where he could not do anything. Being a doctor, also, he could not do anything. Suddenly, he felt that God appreciated him. The snake turned its head and it looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. It was looking at the mirror, but the narrator thought, what questions must the snake be having in his own mind? Was the snake admiring his own beauty? Or was it trying to make a decision either to grow a mustache like the narrator? Or should it use eyeshadow and mascara or wear a red bindi on its forehead? Eyeshadow and mascara are makeup materials which the women use on their eyes to beautify their eyes. I did not know anything for certain. What sex was this snake? Was it male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. Unwound means it uncurled or uncoiled itself, means it let the arm go and slowly it slipped onto the lap of the narrator. From there, it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Crept means crawled. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. Close quarters means closely. I was no mere image cut in granite. Granite is a type of stone, a very hard stone. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. From there, I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. Leapt means jumped. Phew! Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. Heaving a sigh of relief means to become relaxed. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? The narrator had those thoughts about what the snake must be thinking about itself when it saw in the mirror. But narrator could not decide because he didn't know whether the snake was a male or a female. Now the snake unwound itself from the narrator's arm and he slipped into his lap. From there he crawled onto the table and moved closer towards the mirror. Because the snake was attracted to its own image, he wanted to have a look at himself closely in the mirror. So he left the narrator's body, and now the narrator, who was sitting like a statue, suddenly felt that he was a living person. He stood up from the chair and he quietly went through the door, and from there he ran to save his life. The people who were listening to narrator's story took a sigh of relief, that is, they felt little relaxed and better now that the narrator was saved. And then they asked him a question. They asked if his wife was very fat or not. No, the doctor said. God willed otherwise. God willed otherwise means God has something else in his mind, or he decided something else. My life companion is a thin, reedy person with the gift of a sprinter. Reedy means tall and thin, and sprinter is an athlete or runner. Someone else asked, Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? The doctor replied, I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. Immediately I smeared oil all over myself. Smeared means applied, and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30, I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move my things from there. But we found we had little to carry. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out. But not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. Answering the question whether doctor's wife was fat or not, he replied that God had some other plans for his life. So he gave him a life companion who was tall and thin, and the woman was gifted as an athlete or a runner. She was a good runner. Then someone asked him that when he ran, did the snake follow him? The doctor replied that he ran till he reached his friend's house. There he applied oil all over his body and he took a good bath. After that, he changed into fresh clothes. The next morning, he took his friend and two more people to shift his things or to change his room because he did not want to stay there. But surprisingly, when he went to the room, he saw that his room had been robbed by a thief. A thief had taken all the major things from there and he left only one thing which became like an insult to the narrator. Now let's see what was that thing which was so insulting. What was that? I asked. The doctor said, my vest, the dirty one. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. Taken with means attracted by. Now, to answer what that thing was, the doctor replied that it was his dirty vest, which the thief did not take because the thief had such a good sense of cleanliness. The doctor was angry with the thief because he thought that the thief should have taken it and washed it with soap and water, and after that he could have used it, but he didn't do that. When someone asked whether he saw the snake the next day, the doctor laughed and then he said that he had never seen the same snake again. Probably the snake was really attracted by its own beauty, that the snake never appeared again. The narrator of the story is a doctor who is a homeopath, and he is narrating this story to the writer of this chapter. This doctor was an eligible bachelor. That means he was unmarried, he was young, he was good to look at, but he was poor because he did not make much money every month. So he lived in a room which was in a very shabby condition. It had a sloping roof which was made of tiles. The room was not electrified because there was no electricity in the village, and there were rats in his room which ran up and down during the night and made a lot of noise. One night, when the narrator, that is the doctor, came back to his room from outside, he lit a kerosene lamp which was kept on a table, and there was a big mirror that was also kept on the same table. He picked up a book and sat down to read, but he was attracted to the mirror. Every time the doctor was attracted to the mirror, he used to appreciate his appearance. He always felt that he was a very handsome person. He was a kind of person to whom any girl would be attracted. And not just that, he was also a doctor. Therefore, he thought himself to be a ready material of marriage. While looking at the mirror, he decided two things. One is that he'll grow a mustache so that he'll look more handsome. And secondly, he'll always keep a smile on his face because he looked good whenever he smiled. He also decided that he'll marry a fat girl who should be a doctor and earning a good amount of money. And why a fat girl? Because if he does something wrong and she comes after him to catch him, then because of the fattiness, she should not be able to catch. That was the humorous part. When the narrator was lost in all these thoughts, there was a noise at his back, but he did not care to turn around and look what had fallen down. And immediately he felt there was something on his shoulder, and it was none other than a cobra, which had opened up its hood and it was just 3 to 4 inches away from his face. Now the narrator's thoughts were all frozen. His body was still. He had become a statue. He did not move because he knew that if he moved, he will be bitten by that snake. And being a doctor also, he had no medicine of snake bite in his own room. So what could he do? He sat there motionless, noticing the movement of the snake. The snake now coiled around his arm. At this point of time, the narrator had complete change in his thoughts. Before the snake came, he thought himself to be a very wise and an intelligent, a smart person. But now, after the snake was there, he thought himself to be very helpless, to be a foolish and a stupid doctor, because neither could he take any action, nor did he have any kind of medicine to treat him after a snake bite. At the same time, he prayed to God to help him. After this, it seemed that the snake slowly started to move towards the narrator's lap, and from there it crawled to the table. When it came up on the table, it saw the mirror. It saw its own reflection in the mirror. And when it did, it was attracted immediately to its reflection. And in the midst of this attraction, the snake completely forgot about its prey, that is, the narrator. There was a complete change in the thoughts of the narrator, and he thought that this snake was just sent by God for him to teach a lesson that he should not be arrogant about his own appearance. The narrator was free of the snake and he ran away from there to his friend's place. The next morning he decided that he'll change his room. So he came back to his room to pick up his stuff, and there was a big surprise for him. The snake had already left his room and the entire room was robbed, except one dirty vest which the thief also did not take. So that was a very humorous story which happened with this doctor. After the doctor was done narrating his story, one of his friends asked him if he really married a fat girl. The doctor replied that he had married a tall and a thin girl who had athlete-like capabilities. And another one asked him if he ever saw the same snake again. The doctor replied that he never saw that snake again because it was a snake which was also attracted by its own beauty. That's where the summary ends. Now let's move to significance of the title. This story is a scary one, but it is presented by the narrator in a very funny and humorous way. When this story starts, we feel that it is only about the doctor and the mirror, because the doctor is full of pride. He is full of vanity about his good appearance. But the moment the snake enters, there is a total change in the thoughts of the doctor. And we also see that the snake, on one hand, has changed the thoughts of the doctor. On the other hand, the snake itself gets attracted to the mirror. And when the snake gets attracted to the mirror, it completely forgets about the narrator, that is, the doctor. Therefore, the doctor feels that the snake was sent by God to remind him of his reality. It was to punish him that he should not be proud of his appearance and he should not forget about the reality of his life and not indulge in daydreaming. Thus, we can say that this entire story actually revolves around the snake who is in charge of twisting the storyline. So, The Snake and the Mirror is a very apt title for this story. The moral given by the story is that faith in God and humility are two such qualities which one must not forget. It makes him realize that everything in this world, that is wealth and beauty, everything is temporary. And one must not forget the great presence of the creator of this world. So always remember that you should never be proud of your beauty, your strength and your achievements. Instead, be humble and be simple. With this beautiful thought, I end my session today, and in the next session, I'll come up with the poem A Legend of Northland. And now it's time for me to show you the question answers and the summary in the written form. Please have a look at them, and I'll see you again in my next video. Till then, take good care of yourself and keep smiling. God bless you.